Alright, we're going to talk about using the Pythagorean Theorem with 3D figures. So I have a cone there, and I need to find our slant height there, because if we wanted to find surface area, we need the slant height. You can find it without the slant height, but it's much easier if you have the slant height. So what I have here is the radius and the height of that cone. So my radius is 5 and my height is 8. And if you notice, if I draw in a line that slant height, I just made a right triangle. And anytime you have a right triangle, you can use the Pythagorean Theorem. So we're going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So my a is 5 plus my b, which is 8, equals c squared. So 5 squared is 25 plus 8 squared is 64. That equals c squared. 25 plus 64, that's going to be 89, equals c squared. So to find c, or that x value, my slant height, I'm going to square root it. So c is going to be about the square root of 89. So go ahead and use your calculators when you're doing these. So square root of 89 is going to be about 9 4/10. So it's going to be about 9 4/10 inches. Alright, so now we have a pyramid and we need to find this height, the slant height there. So we know the height of the pyramid is 7 inches and the base is 5 inches. So to find how far it is from that center to the base, we need to do half of 5. So that would be 2.5 inches to get from the center to our edge of our base. So now I've created a right triangle, and I can use the Pythagorean Theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So my a is going to be 2.5 inches squared plus 7 inches squared is going to equal my c squared. So first I do 2.5 squared, which is 6 25/100, plus 7 squared is 49, equals c squared. I add that up, I get 55 25/100 equals c squared. Square root that. So again, use your calculator, square root that, and get an estimate. And you're going to get c is about 7 4/10 inches. Alright, next I have a cube here, and I need to find that green line, so it's going from the bottom left corner to the upper right corner. So I got to do a couple different things, because if I make the triangle there, well, I have two unknown values and I can't have two unknown values. So I need to make another right triangle using this bottom, find this diagonal across the bottom, and then find the slant height going diagonally across the cube. So first, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I have 8 and 8. So that would be 8 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. So 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64, plus 64 equals c squared. So 64 plus 64 is going to be 128 equals c squared. So I'm going to square root that. So c equals the square root of 128. I didn't find an estimate, and there's a reason for that. So right here we have the square root of 128. Alright, so now we need to find this rectangle right here. We'll do that in, or this triangle. So now I have two side lengths. So again, we start with a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So my a is the square root of 128 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. Well, when you square root and square something, you just get that number. So I'm going to have 128 plus 8 squared is 64. That's equal to c squared. So now I can add those up. That's going to be 2 carry the 1, 8, 9, 192 equals c squared. Now I square root it. This time I'm actually going to do it. So second square root of 192 is going to be about 13 9/10. So let's say these were inches. So the diagonal going across that cube from lower left to upper right would be about 13 9/10 inches.